First things first. Got no problem with Lupita Nyong'o's Helen or Elliot Page's Sinon. I do have a problem with Matt Damon as Odysseus. Cunning Odysseus, resourceful Odysseus. When you say cunning, resourceful, manipulative, does the name Matt Damon ever come to mind? More recalling Odysseus with Penelope, does tall, stately Anne Hathaway look in any way like she'd go for a stump like Damon? I'm being unfair, I take that back. Damon is handsome, physically fit more than I am, I'll admit, and has plenty of appeal, the kind you find in a faithful hound that follows you everywhere. I can imagine women falling for him because they think he'll never lie to them, much less see other women. And so Damon's performance sets the tone for the rest of Nolan's picture. This is basically a straightforward meat and potatoes adaptation where Nolan uses mostly analog effects and old fashioned filming to tell his story. He plays straight with us, Matt Damon style, striking a deal where we can sit still for 3 hours and he in turn delivers the best Odyssey $250 million can buy. And Nolan inserts an agenda, that of a great man with a secret guilt, a hidden sin. We saw this in Oppenheimer, we saw this in Memento, and it's fair. Filmmakers often have a subject they like to play with, and the Odyssey is sturdy enough a vessel to accommodate such a read. I don't feel Nolan pulls it off. To have a tragedy, we need a great man, and to have a great man, we need someone with a certain stature, a little height to him. We need a man able to feel hubris, and Damon doesn't look like he has the confidence to bluff, much less build any sense of hubris. If he's going to undergo some kind of downfall, it doesn't look like much of a drop. Nolan's notions of trauma and the horrors of war are weak tea, and I don't mean blood and literal guts, though Homer dishes up his share. Again, see Polyphemus. When when I think of wartime atrocity and a protagonist role, I remember the Taffus massacre in David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia. There was a minimum of blood, but the real power of that sequence, the image of retreating Turkish army skittering across a vast widescreen desert offering no refuge. Cut to a gigantic close up of Peter O'Toole as Lawrence, his eyes wide and staring, pulled in different directions by different impulses: rage at what the Turks had done, thirst to take revenge, and his own private sense of horror at the bloodlust welling up his throat. Now imagine Mr. Damon decked out in white robes in that scene with Mr. Nolan behind the camera direct him, and think how much more differently that scene would play. I'd even call into question Nolan's insistence that we watch the movie not just in IMAX, but 70mm IMAX to immerse ourselves in the experience. Nolan keeps the action center punch, so IMAX or not, 70mm or 35mm widescreen TV or cell phone or not, the image remains front and center. He insists on the very best format, but wastes said format on conventional filmmaking that fits everywhere. Nolan shrinks from the kind of recklessness Kurosawa demonstrated in The Hidden Fortress, where Toho scope reveals the massive scale of Akizuki Castle, the tension crafted by Sergio Leone, standing three mysterious gunfights in the middle of a lonely train station once upon a time in the West. The cat and mouse game Camille and Paul play padding through their Roman apartment in Godard's Le Mépris, and in my opinion, superior, far more moving adaptation of the Odyssey, not the least because its subtext is Godard's own disintegrating marriage to his wife and muse, Anna Karina. That final confrontation in the film, by the way, we build up to it. We see Odysseus losing his men one by one. We see Penelope fighting off the suitors. We badly want to see the suitors get their comeuppance. Then the mighty moment when Odysseus strings the bow and plucks it, letting loose a low, lovely chord. Easily the most emotionally resonant moment in the movie. And then everything falls apart. shaky handheld 70mm IMAX shots connected by incoherent editing. A lot of action you can't follow because Nolan, from the Dark Knight trilogy to Inception to Tenet to this picture, has shown again and again and again he can't shoot and edit hand to hand combat worth damn. Odysseus wandered 30 years, but was at least granted a happy end. I sat through 3 hours of mid level storytelling to be rewarded the visual equivalent of hamburger. I stuck to my end of the deal, sat still for 180 minutes. Nolan could at least have the decency to dip into the $100 to $150 million he stands to earn from the Odyssey's enormous box office, maybe 700 million and counting, and give me my $30 back. And I talk more about the Odyssey in depth and in more detail in my blog, Critic After Dark at blogspot.com. That's Critic After Dark at blogspot.com. Thank you.